everybody, this is chapter 5 from The Natural Speaker, the 8th edition, and this topic, this chapter is about gathering a material and where you should look for it. Let me first start off by saying that the last place you should ever look for material for your presentation is on Wikipedia. And I think most of you would already know that, but you have to be careful. So on page 72 it talks about what to look for. And there are 7 classifications that they say you should look for, or the book says you should look for your speech. It's definitions, examples, explanations, comparisons, statistics, expert testimony, and visual aids. I am a marketing person, so visual aids are huge to me, and they will enhance any speech that you do. We will do a little bit with visual aids, and they will be required for your final. So the first one, it talks about definitions. One of the most helpful and readily accessible forms of supporting material is the definition. The novice speaker often overlooks the dictionary on her desk as she begins the process of gathering material for her presentation. A definition can actually, it's very simple, but can actually be very powerful. It says one thing you might keep in mind is that a definition should not confuse the audience. Alright? The next one is examples. I am a big example user. I try to use examples so that people can relate. The next one is explanations. It says an explanation is used to make an idea clear or easily seen in the mind's eye of the audience. So that's on page 73. If you go over to 74, it talks about comparisons and figurative and literal comparisons. It talks about those, and again, for comparison use, you should also refer back to the Jim Valvano speech that we will watch in class. Statistics. Statistics can be an amazing way to get a point across. However, you don't want to overload your audience with statistics. On page 75, it gives you some guidelines. It says ensure the accuracy of the statistics. Make sure that they are recent. Limit your use of them. Use them for comparative purposes. Round off your statistics and use visual aids to present the statistics through graphs, charts, anything like that. On page 76, it talks about expert testimony. Expert testimony is an amazing way to get a point across in your speech. I had some students that did their final project one time on how veterans are actually treated when they get home from being in the war. And they had a friend who was a veteran, a disabled veteran, and they did a video interview with him, which counted as their expert testimony of how he was treated and what really goes on. And this was such a powerful, powerful presentation. So when you can use expert testimony, I would highly recommend it. Then on page 76, it goes into visual aids, and on 77, it talks about various forms of visual aids, which are the speaker himself, a chalkboard, objects, models, drawings, sketches, charts, and electronic media. And then it examines each one of those. Again, I can't stress it enough that visual aids will enhance any speech that you do. And then on 78, it talks about PowerPoint, which is a requirement for your final to have at least a PowerPoint for a visual aid. And it just gives you the steps of how to come up with your PowerPoint. Make sure that you do not use the PowerPoint to have every single thing in your speech on there. It's just a basic outline for the audience. Okay? And then it goes into suggestions for visual aid use. Obviously you need to practice with the visual aids so you know what you're doing. on page 81, under section 5.2, it says where to look for your speech information. Obviously, your own experience and knowledge is a huge plus to this. That's why I say when you're picking a topic, pick a topic that you know something about, okay? Library resources, electronic resources. Then on 83 it talks about the internet. But again, be careful where you're getting your internet information. And on page 84 it talks about interviewing. Again, this is a huge plus to any presentation. Then on 85 it talks about how to record your speech information. You can read that for your own information. However, it goes into the evidence 3-step, but that is not something that you will be quizzed on or tested on, because again, I don't ask for a works cited page in your information. I will know if it doesn't sound, if it doesn't jive. However, I don't have time to go through every single source for your final, and I will reiterate all of this in class. This is a pretty short chapter. I believe that you're in college and you should know where to get information from. So the chapter 5 exam questions are 7 things to look for when you're gathering your speech, which is under 5.1. 5.2, where to look for speech information. Make sure you know figurative and comparison, figurative and literal comparisons. And also under 5.1, how to record your speech information. The only thing that you really need to know is the speaker should research about blank times the amount of material used in the speech, which is 3, which is on page 86. And then just visual aids, you need to know that. And a big thing that I need to note is in the visual aids section, it talks about how you do not pass your visual aids around to the audience, which is on page 80. Do not pass your stuff around to your audience before your speech is done, because what are they going to focus on? They are going to focus on what you've given to them instead of actually focusing on you, the speaker, and receiving your message. So that's about it for Chapter 5.